Welcome back, everybody. In this lecture, we're going to continue right where we left off last time, but we'll be discussing string indexing and slicing. Indexing, where we grab a single character, and slicing, where we grab a subsection of that string. Let's jump to the Jupyter Notebook and get started. Okay, so to start this all off, I'm going to create a variable called myString, and I'm going to set it equal to the string hello world. So notice there's a space in there between hello world. I run this, and let's check to make sure. Okay, so we have hello world there, ready to go. Now, let's imagine I wanted to grab a single character from this string. In that case, I want to use indexing. So what we do is we call the variable name, we have square brackets off of it, and let's imagine I wanted to grab the first character, that is capital H, then I pass in a 0, because indexing starts at 0, and that allows me to return that first character, H. Let's try to grab another character. Let's say we want to grab R. So let's count this out. MyString. And we want to count from 0. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So notice the space counts. 6, 7, 8. So if I pass an 8 there, it should return R. Perfect. So again, this is known as indexing. Now let's imagine we wanted to grab this letter L. Well, there's two ways I could actually do this. I could say myString at 9, because that's right after that R. The other way I could do it is using the reverse indexing we previously mentioned. So starting at 0 from H, I can go backwards in the string, so that D is -1, and that means this L is -2. So if I say myString -2, I will actually get back that L. And then if I keep going backwards in the string, I'll get back that R, which is right before the L. So I will get back this R right there. So you can use both positive index positions and negative index positions to grab elements or characters from the string. And that's really useful again because oftentimes you'll have a variable string, maybe it's someone's name, and you don't know how big that name is, but for whatever reason you want to grab the last letter of their name, then you can always just use -1 and you know that's the last letter of the string. Okay, let's go ahead and continue to discuss slicing. So slicing is a little more complicated because we're grabbing a subsection of the string. So that's more than one character typically. Let's review our string. Whoops, my string here is hello world. And I'm going to redefine my string, just so this is a little easier to follow, as A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. So just kind of a string of the alphabet there. We'll redefine it. And now I have this string of the alphabet. So let's imagine that we wanted to grab a subsection of a string that started at a particular index and then went all the way to the end. Well, the way we could do that is we would say myString, square bracket notation, and then we would say the starting index, let's imagine we want to start at the letter C and then go all the way to the end. So C is at index 2 because it's 0, 1, 2. So what I do is I pass in 2, and if I just do that, it gives me back the letter C. But if I want from C all the way to the end, I can say colon, and that indicates starting at index 2, colon, go all the way to the end, and there we have CD all the way to K. Okay, now let's imagine kind of an opposite situation where I want to grab everything up to a particular index. Then I could say myString, colon, and let's say I wanted to grab A, B, and C. So starting at the very beginning, go ahead and grab all the way up to essentially letter D here. So we'll say 0, 1, 2, 3, pass in 3 there, and then we run this and we get back A, B, C. Now this is sometimes confusing for students because if we check out myString, technically we have the D at index position 3 because it's 0, 1, 2, 3. What you should note here is that the stop index, this term right here for 3, which only returns back A, B, C, that stop index is basically saying go up to, but not including that index position. So go up to the letter D, but don't include it, which essentially says A, B, C. So keep that in mind as you're kind of playing around with slice notation. This stop is up to, but not including. Okay, let's combine these two ideas of a starting index and a stop index by trying to grab a subsection of a string that's in the middle. For example, let's try to grab D, E, F from the middle of the string. The way we can do that is we say myString, open square brackets, and then we start off with our starting index position. In this case, it's at letter D, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3. Then we say colon, and then it's going to go up to the index position of G here, because I just want D, E, F. So we're going to go up to, but not including G. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And now if I run this, I get back D, E, F. So let's practice this one more time by trying to grab another subsection of the string. For example, let's try to grab just B and C, these two letters, B, C. So the way we can do that is we'll type out my string, open and close square brackets. Our starting index position is at 0, 1 for B, colon, and then it looks like we want to go up to, but not including D, so that's 0, 1, 2, 3. We'll run this, and there we have BC. And I would encourage you to try to grab a subsection. So choose a subsection of the string and then see if you can grab it. You can go ahead and pause the video and try that out. Okay, to end our discussion, let's quickly discuss step size. Let's imagine that I wanted to grab everything from the beginning of the string all the way to the end. Well, technically, that's just the string itself, but I could also use colon notation for this. I could say colon colon, and that basically says from all the way to the beginning, go all the way to the end. Now, you don't often see this because you might as well just call the string itself, but this is technically valid syntax. The reason you might see something like this is if someone wanted to specify the third parameter, and that is the step size. So right now we're saying go all the way from the beginning to the end in a step size of 1, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So that's the default step size of 1. However, I can change that by providing a number such as 2, and that says go in jumps of 2. So from A, go to C, to E, to G, to I, to K. So if I run this, I get back A, C, E, G, I, K, because I'm jumping in a step size of 2. And we can increase this to be a step size of 3, and then we'll get from A, jump to D, jump to G, jump to J, and then there's no more letters to jump to because we're jumping in a larger step size. So that's how step size works, and you can combine this with a start and stop as well. So we could say something like starting from index 2, go up to, but not including index 7, and a step size of 2, and we get back C, E, G. So C, then jump to E, then jump to G. So notice how this all works in combination. You have a start, a stop, and then a step size. Something that you may commonly see is using a clever step size trick to reverse a string. And what you can do is say my string, and then say from all the way to the beginning, all the way to the end, take a step size of -1. And what that does is it actually reverses your string, because you're saying from all the way to the beginning to all the way to the end, go and take a backward step, which is then K, J, I, all the way to the end. So this is kind of a little Python trick. Often in interviews, people ask you to reverse a string, and they kind of get annoyed by Pythonistas because they quickly just do this nice kind of slick one-liner instead of doing a for loop. But I just want you to be aware of that. Typically in our code, we won't really be using this too much because it's more of a trick, but again, a very useful one at that. Okay, so that's it for slicing and indexing. Coming up next, we're going to discuss a little bit about some useful string properties. We'll see you there.